Okay, so we started this on Friday, and I know I talked fast on Friday, right? Because we had so much to do on Friday. So today is going to we're kind of going to review what we did on Friday and go just a little bit further with it, okay? So the first thing I want you to notice is that on Friday we only had one term here, but today we have two. And if you look, between it is a multiplication sign. So with multiplication, it doesn't matter what order it is, right? We can multiply first or we can do it front and back. It doesn't matter. So when I look at this, I can cancel things up and down, but I can also cancel things this way, okay? Because it's like all over the same numerator and denominator. So if we start here at 8 and 26 and 14 and 12. So I need to reduce that. So anybody have any suggestions? So if we start with 2, okay, so then I make this a 4 and I make this a 13. Because we can only do one of each, right? You can't do all of them. So the 4 and the 13, I can't reduce that anymore, can I? But what about the 14 and the 12? 2. Let's do 2 again. So I get 7 and 6. Now, if you look, because it's multiplication, and that's like this is all over the same line, here I have a 4 and a 6. Can I reduce those? I can. So can I reduce by another 2? So I'm going to make this a 2 and this a 3. So does everybody, that's okay with everybody? So on top, remember, what are we doing here? What was between here? Multiply. So 2 times 7 gives me 14, and 13 times 3 is 39. So does everybody see where the numbers came from? Okay, so here I have x to the third, y to the fourth, and on bottom, how many total x's do I have? 3. And a y. So what happens with the x's? This one and this one cancel, that's correct. And then I have 4 and 1. So I'm going to subtract. So I have 4 minus 1 gives me y to the third. So where does that go? Top. So that's what I get for an answer. Right? So the reason it was easy peasy is because we wrote it all out and we weren't lazy and skipped stuff. If you start skipping stuff, then it gets harder. Okay, so let's look at this. So we're going to treat this exactly like what I just did. So first of all, just look at the top part right here. The 3x cubed plus 6x squared. 3 and 6, what do they have in common? 3. Then I have x to the third and x to the second. What's the smallest exponent? X to the second. So if I put that, so 3 times what gives me 3? 1. I have 2 x's, but I need 3. So how many more do I need? So 1x plus 3 times what gives me 6? 2. I have 2 x's and I need 2 x's. Do I need any more? Okay, so I'm going to close the parenthesis. Are there any numbers that are the same on bottom? No. Do I have a variable in both terms? Yes. And what's the lowest exponent? 1x. So I have 1x, but I need 2 x's. So how many more do I need? Okay. I have 1x, and I only need 1x, so I'm going to put a 1 there to hold the place, right? You can't put a 0 because that doesn't make sense. So we're going to do the next one. 4x squared and 4x. What number can I take? How about 4? Is there an x in both terms? Yes, and the lowest exponent is x. So 4 times what gives me 4? 1. Who said 2? So I have one x, but I need two x's, so I need another x. And then plus 4 times what makes 4? 1. I have one x, and I need one, so do I need another? No. So I'm going to have that 1 there, and I'll close the parenthesis. So I'm going to have 6 this time. I'm going to get x. 6 times what gives me 12? 2. So does it matter if I have the 1 or I don't have the 1? I'm putting that there so you know you have to multiply, right? But so this x and the 1x is the same thing, all right? So what's going to cancel? Let's start with this x plus 2. Can I cancel that with this? Okay. So that cancels with that. And then the x plus 1 is going to cancel with this. So what else will cancel? What about this x and this x? Can I do that? Yep. Because one's on top and one's on bottom. So now, this is what I have. I have 3 times 4, which is 12x squared over 6. Well, what's 12 divided by 6? 2. So you get 2x squared. And that's the answer. Okay. So on number 3, I have x squared minus 9. That's a perfect square. What's the square root of 9? 3. So I'm going to get x plus 3 and x minus 3. And on bottom, how do I factor the x squared minus 4? Very good. X plus 2 and x minus 2. So 4 and 8. Let's do a 4, and you're right. The lowest exponent is 1, so I'm going to have 4x. So 4 times what gives me 4? So I have 1x, but I need 2, so I need 1 more. 4 times what gives me 8? 2. I have 1x, and I need 1x, so do I have to add another? No. So 6x plus 18. So we're going to have 6. I'm going to have the x plus 3. So now comes the fun part. We get to cross all the stuff out, right? So I'm going to start right here. X plus 3 cancels with the x plus 3. Is there an x minus 3? No. How about an x minus 2? So that's going to cancel. So I have 4 over 6. Will that reduce? 2 over 3, right? So I'm going to have 2x times x minus 3 over x plus 2 and a 3. And that's your answer. Everybody good? Yeah. That's it? Yes. Wait, is that it? Yes. No. Okay. So then we have a trinomial. Is that going to be any harder? It's not. We're just going to do the a times c and b, right? So if I do a times c and b with this one, I have -3 and +2. What is it? I'm sorry. 3 and -1. So on top, this is going to factor to x plus 3 and x minus 1. On the bottom, can I take out a number? We can take out the 4. So once I take that out, we have to factor this now. I'm going to put the 4 here. So I have -2 and 1. So that'll be 2 and -1. So what's in common on top? 2? So I'm going to put the 2 here. And how do I factor the x squared minus 4? It's a perfect square. So you get the x plus 2 and the x minus 2. And then how do I factor here? So I get negative 6 and 1, 3 and negative 2. And so we're going to decide what can I cancel now. The x minus 2, good. X minus 1. Woo. Ooh. And what does that leave you? And what does that reduce to? Look how fun that is. Was that fun? Is that it? What? Okay. So all of this on top. So let's do this one because they're just a little bigger. So first of all on top, if I do A times C, so my A times C this time is what? 6 and my B? So what do I have if I want 6 and negative 5? Negative, yes, because it's negative 5. Two times 3 is 6, and the B is negative 5. Okay, so I get negative 2, negative 3. But we have to be careful this time because what's the leading coefficient? It's 2, right? So I'm going to have 2x minus 2 and 2x minus 3. And can I reduce this? So on this one, I'm going to have x minus 1 times 2x minus 3. So I'm going to kind of put my final answer over here and work on this side, okay? So then on bottom, we can only factor if it's x squared. What does that one start with? X cubed. So if I take out an x, then I have x squared minus 2x minus 3. And can I factor that then? Yes. So I'm going to put my x here so I don't forget it. And then we're going to factor this. So this would be negative 3, positive 1. Good. And this one, I get 2 and 3. So this is 2 and 1. And the last one, if I take A times C, is negative 12, and my B is 3. Oh, 1. Sorry, I was looking on top. So negative 12 and 1. So, but the 1 is positive, so it's 4 and negative 3. But what's the leading coefficient? So I have 2x plus 4 and 2x minus 3. So this one reduces. So do you see where all the factoring came from? So this is the best part. Let's knock stuff out. So can I cross out the x minus 1? No. This one will go. X plus 2 goes. X plus 1 goes. So it left me with x minus 1 over x times x minus 3. Okie dokie. I think there's one more kind of problem, and it's dividing is exactly the same thing. We're not learning anything new. So to divide, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy this down. As long as I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and factor out here. I'm going to factor a 2x. So that gives me x squared minus 1. Everybody see I just took out the 2x here? So I just copied this right here. And I factored out the 2x. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my division sign and I'm going to change it to multiply. Because I said. And once I change it to multiply, I'm going to flip the second one.
Also, just like any other expression.
Yes. So now I'm going to leave this, the 3x minus 1. And I'm going to leave the 2x. This is a perfect square. X squared minus 1 is perfect. So that factors to x plus 1 and x minus 1. So what do we have in common on top here? I have a 2. And what's the least exponent? X squared. So that leaves me with x minus 1. So what gets to go? So we can cancel the 2's, right? Can I do that? So I have x times x. What is that? X squared, and I have an x squared up there. So can I cancel all of those? I can. And then it leaves me what on the bottom? Very good. Okay, so on this one, x squared minus 1 is a perfect square. So how does that factor? And then I'm just going to put a 1 underneath of here. And what do I change the division to? Very good. We're just going to flip it over and change it to multiply. And then what cancels? And you get x plus 1 times x plus 5. So it's just a 1. It's like a placeholder, so you know what's on top and what's on bottom. Is that it? Oh, no. No. Everybody try number 8. You can go to the bathroom. Okay, so, yes. So how many of you got this right? It's because you're smart. Yes. Okay. What? Okay, that's a really good question. So listen. Okay, you guys, so this is without a doubt the most common mistake. He wants to know, can I cancel the x's? You can only cancel the x's if it's like this. Then I can cancel the x's. But if it has a plus or a minus, you can't cancel them. Okay? So these you can't cancel. Okay. So I'm going to start with this one right here. So on top, 2x minus 2. What do we have in common? 2. So if I take out the 2, this is Archer. Sure. Uh-huh. Jennifer. Okay, so on bottom, I'm going to factor this. So that's A times C. So it's 3 and 2. So then what do I have next? I'm just going to flip the second one. So I'm going to multiply, and I'm going to put the 3x plus 9 on top, and the 2 on the bottom. And what's the 3x minus 3? 3. But this one, when I flipped the 3x plus 9, I can do 3 times x plus 3. So let's see what we can cancel now. The 3's cancel. The 2's cancel. X plus 3. So what's left? It's not 0. What is it? Because what's 2 divided by 2? 1. So all of that and it all cancels. Isn't that fun? Yes, look how fun that is. You don't have to admit it. I know in your heart.